Power 88 is underwritten by the Southern Nevada Health District. And here is your host.
Good morning, Las Vegas, and welcome to A Healthier Tomorrow. I'm Will Rucker.
And I'm Sierra Owens.
And we are so glad that you are tuning in for this special day before Thanksgiving edition of A Healthier Tomorrow. Sierra, I'm waking up extraordinarily thankful and grateful because we made it to Thanksgiving.
Yes, and so quickly. I remember us coming back, talking about the first show back from the new year, and we're getting into the holidays, the end of the year. How does time fly?
Oh my goodness. So let me ask you this. We're going to dive into a really important topic today, and it's about hope. And I'm wondering, what gives you hope today?
Oh, there's so many things that give me hope. I work closely with kids, so anytime I see a student talk and really engage and interact, it gives me hope for the future because I know that they're going to continue to carry torches as we walk alongside each other. Family gives me hope, and the fact that just in general, and no matter the toughest of times, we all can find a way to come together for things that really matter. So just the idea of perseverance and resiliency. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, all of that. And the resiliency is really resonating. I don't wish for folks to have to be resilient, and I'm glad that we are. This year, I'm especially thankful for quiet acts of courage. I've seen folks all around us who are choosing to, I'll say, honor resistance in a way that still is gracious and kind and centered in compassion. I think about our students who show up to class even when they're struggling, parents who are doing their best, and our community partners who keep really fighting for not only a healthier tomorrow, but a better tomorrow, even though the odds are really looking like they're against it. So I'm thankful for our listeners who choose hope over fear and who tune in every time we're on the air and are partnering with us in this endeavor to make Las Vegas healthier. So, I mean, I'm just thankful. I'm thankful. I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic. And it's not something that's just because, it's because I'm choosing it.
That is the key. Choosing hope, choosing joy, and not saying toxic positivity. We're not leaning on that. Accepting all the realities and saying, now what do I do with this? And one of the few things that we get to actually choose is our attitude, our approach, our mindset towards the situation. So how do we lean into the joy, the hope at all times?
Absolutely. And I'm going to put you on Front Street for just a moment. How's that foot doing, lady?
It is okay. I'm actually going to the doctor at 12 o'clock. And so I'm hoping I will get some good news and there won't be any need for surgery. And I'll be hopping along on my way throughout December, but walking in January.
Okay. I got to check on you.
I appreciate you.
Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in to A Healthier Tomorrow. If you haven't already, let somebody know that we are on the air. This is Southern Nevada's #1 community health radio show, so they should be listening because, hey, this is good stuff.
Yes, it is.
Well, we've got a fantastic guest in studio, and I'm so excited to introduce this amazing human to our audience and to our community. Nevada currently ranks 51st in the nation for youth mental health, and this person decided, you know what, I'm going to step in and do something about it. She is the executive director of Hope Means Nevada. Jana, welcome to A Healthier Tomorrow.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Will. It's a joy to be here.
Yeah, so glad you could do this. Now, tell folks a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Jana Velasco, and I'm a relatively new executive director of Hope Means Nevada. We do serve the entire state, and our mission is youth mental wellness, ultimately hopeful to eliminate teen suicide in Nevada. But outside of my professional role, I'm a wife and a mother to 2 children, a fantastic teen myself, and I've learned and grown along with him as he's had his own mental health struggles. And it's really helped me shape my work. And then my work has helped me shape my motherhood. So I'm feeling incredibly blessed in this season of gratitude.
Yes, Jana, thank you so much for sharing that and your own personal connection to the work. For our listeners who may be hearing about Team Hope Academy for the very first time, what is the program and why was it created?
Well, the program came out of a need that the teens that were participating in our programming when I joined the organization expressed, that there is a lot of responsive care around an issue of teen suicide, right? There's a lot of crisis focus. But what they were needing support in is that choice that you alluded to earlier, that they have a choice and response, that they have a participatory response and choice and direction and ownership of how they respond to events in their life, and that they really needed a skill set that helped them in a tangible way know how to regulate their own emotions, to walk through hard days, to be there for each other in hard days, and how to advocate for themselves. So when they do have troubles, it's a little less of a burden for themselves. And we found, just by happenstance and a one introduction, a lovely licensed clinical psychologist named Dr. Glory Finnegan, who also has a heart for youth. That's her specialty. In her training is working with youth through those challenging teen years. And so in partnership, but essentially Dr. Finnegan developed Teen Hope Academy. And we're just so thrilled to have the partnership with Intermountain Health and others to bring it to Nevadan teens.
Love that. And I had the privilege of meeting Dr. Glory Ray Finnegan, who is just phenomenal. Her energy is just so good. And she was sharing a little bit about dialectical behavior therapy. So for listeners who may not be familiar, can you explain DBT in simple terms and why it's so effective for teens?
Yeah, in simple terms is key. Right? I'm not a licensed clinical psychologist myself, but being a mom and seeing what teens struggle with, it just made so much sense from the minute I learned that children at age 10, for the first time, begin to experience dialectical, right? Two emotions are kind of happening in their brain at the same time. Up until they reach that point of maturity, it's just really simple. I'm hungry, I'm happy, I'm sad, one emotion at a time. But as we move into these teen years, our brain starts to be able to have two different emotions, and often those emotions conflict with each other. I'm happy, but I also kind of feel angry. I'm sad, but I'm also really energized. And our brains are just trying to figure it out. And as a new adult almost, it's really challenging for teens to hold these two emotions at the same time. And I think that's where a lot of the anxiety, social awkwardness, and ultimately depression from feeling alone in those emotions come from. So what Teen Hope Academy addresses is, hey, let's identify emotions to get started. What are we really feeling? Yes, it's possible you're feeling two conflicting things. How do you work through that? How do you name it? How do you just sit for a moment and own that? And then once we know what we're feeling ourselves, then we can start to connect with others. And how do we do that in a positive way?
That's such a great insight. And thinking about it, so as someone entering into fatherhood, I'm like studying, child brains and all of that. And yeah, they only kind of have one thing at first, and then all of a sudden this whole new world opens up and they're like, what do I do with it? But I had not really thought about it in that way. So I'm curious, since you work with teens and Hope Means Nevada just does such an amazing job with branding and really making it something that folks want to be a part of, what are you hearing from the teens today?
That they're really excited about a focus on wellness, about a focus on ownership of their own emotions and thereby their own lives and their own futures. That there's a lot of negativity out in the world that swirls around them. And, when I was a kid, I'm in my 50s, and when I was a kid, the world didn't really follow me home. The world didn't follow me to bed if I take my phone to bed, right? And it does now. So I think really empowering the youth with the knowledge that they are creating their own worlds, that they are creating their own lives, and that as though the world and the outside influences might say that they are powerless and they are just kind of a rowboat in a big ocean of what's happening to them, then in fact, they are their own captains of their own ship. And when we equip them with the tool set that Teen Hope Academy does, they actually have a lot of power and capacity and ownership of their own lives. And what a beautiful opportunity and thought to wake up to every day, that this is my day and I have a choice.
I absolutely love all this. This is making my heart sing, especially because we know that wellness is so important to our youth. So this program teaches skills such as mindfulness, emotional regulation, and distress tolerance on a virtual experience, correct?
It is tailored in a targeted way to be really mobile and versatile. When I was growing up, I was an older sibling, so there was often days that I couldn't stay after school to participate in programs. I'd have to go home and take care of my younger sibling. So we wanted it to be virtual and mobile, so you can really dial in from anywhere. But I think a really powerful piece of the program is the discussion piece, where there is a safe adult that's administrating the program that's already been recorded, but there's questions that are prompted and reflective moments to the groups. And I think that those connections and the conversations and the stigma reducing notes that'll come out of those small groups are going to be where the real magic happens.
I love that. So can you dive more into that? You mentioned earlier that teens are reminded that they never feel alone, and that sense of community through discussion. Like, what does that look like in the conversation from like the teen's perspective?
Yeah, so there's a lot of feedback from teens that most of their days are very structured. There's a lot of performance pressure, meaning that they have to appear that they love all of the pressure that they're under, right? So to have this space and time where they're allowed to share openly without stigma or judgment, like, hey, what I'm walking through is hard. Hey, I'm really concerned about college applications. Hi, I'm really concerned about my SAT score. I'm worried that my parents will be disappointed in me, etc. And just have this open space just to talk about it. You know, I've heard recently that just 8 minutes in talking with a friend can help save a life, right? We have a campaign, Ask 5, check in with 5 people, ask them how they're doing, especially over the holidays, as a side note. But conversation is healing to humans. We're not solitary individuals. We need each other. We need connection. So having a surface level conversation and passing is a 1 on a healing scale, right? But this connective, open, we're here to learn more about our feelings level of conversation is, you know, off the charts in my book. And that's what the teens are really asking for when you sit down quietly and say, hey, if we could bring anything to your education, what would it be? And they want this connection. They want peer-to-peer support.
So when does the Grown Folks Hope Academy launch?
I know. We have to, that is such a good point. Well, we have to foster this in our own lives,
Absolutely.
right? We really have to, and that's part of Teen Hope Academy too, that it's, how do we create good, healthy relationships? And if a relationship isn't healthy for us, how do we step away in a respectful fashion that's also beneficial to us? So it takes work to have friendships, and it takes being open and honest and stepping into this little piece of vulnerability, right? Humans kind of naturally want to avoid being vulnerable. And Teen Hope Academy, you know, that's part of the rules when you check in. It's people are going to open and honestly share, and you're expected, you know, to do the same to the limit that you're comfortable. And of course, not everyone's going to be immediately comfortable, but it's 5 sessions. And, you know, it's going to form a group of kids that know each other in a different way. Will and myself have been part of an adult version of this program. It's called the Jameson Fellowship. And through that fellowship, we create circles of trust. And I've got to say, what a beautiful experience that was. It was just a several-day workshop followed by an annual meeting, but those relationships have carried me since I was a fellow in 2019 in ways that I just didn't expect. So that's what we're hopeful to create, is an awareness in teens that they have a choice on how they respond to what happens to them, to the emotions that their surroundings create, and they can be mindful and thoughtful and regulate themselves and build a beautiful life, not only for their teen years, but for their adult years as well.
That's beautiful. And I love the idea that we're giving people the tools they need at a young age so that across the entire lifespan, we have better relationships, which are the foundation of really a healthy, happy life. So, Sierra, in your work, and I don't want to bring too much of your work into it, but you do a lot of this with kids in schools and the teachers that are educating them. I'm just curious, I'm putting you in the interviewee seat for a moment. What's percolating in that brain right now?
I am thinking, how do I make sure all of my teachers hear about this program? I just talked to a teacher at a high school that was just like, I feel like I'm more than a teacher. And like, some of my kids just need emotional regulation. Like, they don't know they're walking in happy, sad, and based off of how they walk in depends on how productive the day is going to be. And so I'm just like, how do I make sure that, one, that they know that our youth are young adults that are dealing with more than when we went to school. And so how do we equip them with those skills early? And then how do we remind ourselves the same thing? I love that y'all, through the Jameson Fellowship and then through other opportunities are thinking about how adults learn this later in life, because some of us don't have these opportunities as kids. And so they're dysregulated as well. And so if you have two dysregulated folks in the room, one that's the adult and then one that's the teen, there's a lot of destruction that could happen, and a lot of need for repair. And so literally in my head, Jana, I'm thinking, like, I have an event January 10th for my teachers, like a professional learning event. How do I get this information in their hands? Which leads to my question for Jana. I know that Team Hope Academy is free and it's statewide. So how are we making sure that we are reaching the teens across all corners in Nevada, especially because you say we rank 51st?
Well, helping spread the word is obviously a huge ask from us as a small but mighty nonprofit with a new program. So I have been having literally one-on-one conversations with social workers at schools, but anybody listening, and you yourself, Sierra and Will, if you could help share that this programming is available, we will keep up with the influx of need. And in conversations, I'll just share one brief moment. There's another a program that the schools actually do need to pay for that's crisis focused. And so some of my conversations with schools were, oh no, we're all set. We have a crisis management system. And, I was speaking to teens that were part of that crisis management, and they're asking for, like, we need mental wellness tools. So once schools actually listen and say, oh my goodness, you're right, emotional regulation, I can see how that affects every aspect of my life as an instructor on campus daily, then it changes from, I was saying maybe 20 children would participate in each session, and they say, oh my gosh, 20? No, we have 100 that need this right now. And, personally, I have I walked through 3 suicides of folks close to me, and every single one I can see, one was my grandfather, so I didn't know him as a teenager. But one was my cousin and my best friend, who I actually just lost her this year. It all boils down to emotional regulation. And here's the thing about catching them early, like Will said, is that when they have been dysregulated and incapable of controlling their emotions, by the time they hit their 20s, they're almost branded. It's not a word I like to use, but they seem to lose a little bit of the family support that they might have had, if any, in the beginning. Maybe a job, their resume doesn't look as beautiful as it could. If we would have equipped them early, before they hit the college level of education, before they go on to a professional role, and they know how to approach these situations that happen to us all the time, every day, with this beautiful toolkit, it's really going to be transformative, and I think it's going to exceed suicide prevention to community transformation, right? Will works a lot with compassion, and gosh, if we know how to regulate our own emotions, that just opens us up to a whole new level of compassion for others. So I think it's going to be a beautiful future if we can get this in people's hands. So any help that people can offer us, we are willing to work with.
Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for connecting so many dots. And I know Will works with compassion. He has a pen that he wears often, and I always see it, and it's nice to have that reminder, especially because I feel like that's so much what our world needs right now. Mm-hmm. How can families recognize the signs in our teens that they may need that extra emotional or mental health support before it gets to that crisis stage, as you mentioned, that oftentimes we like to step into?
Gosh, I would say just offer the support. Just ask the questions. On our website, hopemeansnevada.org, there's conversation starters for parents. But I'm going to just say as a blanket statement, like, instead of like thinking, gosh, do they need support? They need your support, right? They need your love. They need your openness. They need your own vulnerability. You can share with them like, oh my gosh, I was having a hard day, but then I decided to sit down and just soothe myself with a cup of hot tea, for instance, right? And you could talk to them openly about, hey, when you're feeling stressed out, what's one thing that you do for yourself to kind of calm or make yourself feel better? And I wouldn't be surprised if they couldn't name one thing, right? So there's an opportunity without a special toolkit or without, a package. You could just simply say, hey, let's Google some things to soothe yourself when you're feeling a little overwhelmed, when you're feeling a little done for the day, and talk about that. And then if it requires some sort of, scent or whatever, that could be part of their holiday gift. It's just very simple. And I think building the knowledge that, gosh, we are humans and all of us can hit this point where we are overdone, overwhelmed, have walked ourselves down a road where our emotions are not what we want them to be. But when we sit and reflect and take ownership that we can make a choice to make a major shift in how we're feeling that day, that week, that month, that's the magic, right? Just having a conversation of, hey, you're not some sort of victim that can't be helped here. You are in control of how you choose to react to something that might be outside of your control, but let's learn how to work together. I'll support you. I'm here for you. But ultimately, this is a skill set that you can learn.
Hearing you talk makes it so clear and evident why you're leading an organization with hope in the name, because you just plant that in such a rich way. So I am curious, what does hope mean to you personally, and then also in the context of this work?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. Hope to me is limitless. That we are, thankfully, I've had struggles in my life, right? I've had a lot of hardships, but every hardship I've had has enabled me to connect with somebody else, has enabled me to empower someone else, has enabled me to uplift and strengthen somebody else by being vulnerable and transparent and sharing my story. So hope to me is other humans and our connectivity, that we say you're not alone, because when someone feels alone, that's when all is lost, right? That's when a suicide can happen. We need each other to foster hope. So hope in essence is human connectivity in my book. We might not have a friend in our space, but we certainly have a friend a phone call away, a text away. And if you are a young person and you are still in the process of building really trustworthy friends, there's resources like the Nevada Teen Text Line and 988 Text Line, where you can text somebody that you might not be friends right away. You might not have a friendship, the next day, but they have walked your walk. They understand where you are and can be a loving, supportive friend in need for you. So, hope is human connection. And I think that we need it because it's what we're here for. We're not solitary creatures. We're here to build a beautiful community, to love and support each other. And we need each other to foster hope.
I love that. I love how you worded even how, through hardships came additional connection and just the thoughts of community. Before we wrap up, how can our community support this important work beyond this program itself? You mentioned that you all are a small nonprofit. What can that support look like from us?
Well, I think Ask 5 is a fantastic way to support. Check in with 5 of your friends. Ask them how they're doing. Get past the, I'm fine, it's great, I'm busy, and ask them, hey, what's really going on? Like, how are you really feeling in your own skin, in your own soul? What's happening? If you find somebody in crisis there, dial 988 in and a group call, and they can help. But when they ask you, like, what's up? What's up with these questions? Let them know, like, there's an organization in Nevada called Hope Means Nevada, and asking 5 of your friend can save a life. I know for sure that in February when I lost my friend from 1978, if I wouldn't have checked in on her socials and thought, oh, she just got promoted, she's doing great, if I really would have called her and dug in, 10 times because she wasn't taking my phone calls at the moment, and really gotten to the point of checking in and circling her with support, that she'd still be here. So first and foremost, surround your own circle with support, and don't take an unanswered phone call as a time to quit. Secondly, just advocate for us through posting and reposting and sharing our social media, letting us people know that we are an organization. And then if you have friends with teens, let them know that we're here and refer those teens to join us. They have beautiful experiences working with us. For example, one young person just got to help design My Cause, My Cleats with the Raiders and connect with Caleb Rogers, and they are exchanging messages, and I know he's really empowered and feeling extra love getting that connection. So many beautiful ways for us to support teens, but if they don't know we're here, we can't support them. So just share the word, and that's the advocacy that is most important to any nonprofit.
Awesome. Well, Jana, thank you so much for joining us this morning on A Healthier Tomorrow. And thank you for the work that you're doing in our community. I think it is transformative, and I can't wait to see what happens in 2026 as this program continues to grow. All right. So, Sierra, what is happening in our community in our last 2 minutes?
Oh, there's so much. So at the center on December 2nd, there's a creative writer workshop. It's going to be from 4 to 6 p.m. Y'all take some time and take that wellness and go put your feelings on the paper or the computer, depending if you want to type. There's also a foster care info session, y'all, on December 3rd. It's going to be the first Tuesday at 6 p.m. It really dives in on who can foster. This is anyone that is 21 and up, renters, homeowners, workers, stay at home, retired, single, married, divorced, whatever the case may be. We know this is the time of year that many of us are thinking about how we can give back. Opening our home and providing a lot of love is one of the amazing, amazing ways. I want to make sure as we highlight, as we think about going into the holiday, go to gethealthyclarkcounty.org and really think about how we're getting moving, eating better, living tobacco free, and really managing our risks, especially as we're thinking about what we're putting on our plate to step outside of the world of diabetes. Please dive in, y'all. Share these resources with your family. And I want to say, and just double down on what the amazing things Jana said today, go to hopemeansnevada.org. Reach out, learn some of those prompts that we can say as we're sitting around the table or the TV or wherever we are as we're celebrating our family this weekend and beyond.
This has been A Healthier Tomorrow. I'm Will Rucker.
And I'm Sierra Owens.
And as we always remind you, you are not just a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. And what you do matters. So live compassionately. Happy Thanksgiving.